Hi there, I'm Katy Rose, and welcome to the Rooted Reinvention, a podcast exploring the real-world journey of reinventing who we are without burning out or burning our whole life down. I teach people how to make lasting change by melding my Masters of Neuroscience and my Cognitive Therapy qualification with common self-help tools, spiritual concepts, and my personal experience. Because being yourself doesn't need to feel so damn hard. To get more information on podcast episodes, please visit rootedreinvention.com/podcast. Welcome again, everyone. I've spent a little bit of time in the last couple of weeks thinking about 2021 as we get closer and closer to it. And one of the things I always think about at this time of year is the idea of life design, of planning what we want rather than just hoping for what we want. And what I mean by that is that when I am going to play a new game, I read the instructions. When I need to put together a piece of furniture, I have at least a brief look at the diagram and the steps they recommend and what pieces are what, and how, in theory, they're meant to go together. Or even just look at the pieces and think, well, that's clearly a leg that goes on the bottom, sort of thing. And yet, we do this for everything. And we do this for pretty much everything in our life. So the people who manufactured the computer screen we use would have had very clear instructions on what it would look like, what materials to be used, how it would fit together, which ports would be where. An architect would have designed the buildings that you see today, even if that's just your own home. And yet, when it comes to ourselves, whether that be your physical body, whether that be your mental state, whether that be the goals you want to achieve, whether that be pretty much anything, we don't design it before we take that step very often. Not everyone does. So thinking about resolutions, people might make a plan, they might have a goal, they might set some small steps of milestones or of ways to do it. So if someone wants to lose weight, they might think about, well, I'm not going to eat this particular food, I'm going to eat this food instead, I'm going to exercise this many times a week. But a lot of us don't actually draw out the plan of what it will look like at the end when we reach that goal. And part of the reason that I bring this up is that this is actually something that we as human beings are designed to do, and that our brains are designed to visualize. And when we can envision the future ahead of us and what we want and how it will feel and what it will look like, it actually, on a brain chemistry level, makes changes to us in terms of our sense of hope, our sense of motivation, the ability to then push through the harder moments when we can actually embody what that will look like and experience, even briefly in our imagination, reaching that goal. That is actually a huge part of succeeding in any resolution or plan. Partly because we might be able to see things that could go wrong before they happen. So if I were to draw, let's go use the architect example. I watch a lot of grand designs. If I were to draw out the building, then actually I might be able to look at it and go, well, this angle doesn't work. Or actually looking at it, and if I think about where the light's coming from in the mornings when it's facing east or whatever, then that's actually going to be a really dark room, so I need to think about lighting. Like, there are things that you can do with a model, with a visualization, with a drawing of your future self, that otherwise, if you're just blindly stumbling ahead, you're going to have installed the window and then realise that it's really dark in that room, and you're going to have to come up with another lighting solution quick, or live in the dark. To each their own. So I guess the thing I want to think about today is, what things in your life are you hoping for, wishing for, desiring, wanting, even making plans and resolutions around? And what can you do today, next week, once a month for the next 12 months to really envision what that will feel like, what that will be like, what that will look like, whether you want to draw it out, whether you want to just sit through like a visualization mental kind of walkthrough of like waking up in the morning, December of 2021, and how you'll feel, how your body feels, what clothes you're wearing, what you do first, or whether you'd rather write it all down in a list formation and say, well, actually, these are the things I would do with my day, this is what my routine would look like. You could create your own like calendar schedule for the day to kind of do one of those sort of my ideal day things. But what I want to focus on is almost putting yourself in the state of having already achieved it, whatever your goal is. Because this is where our brain will see connections, it will see problems before we get to them, so we can hopefully problem solve them now rather than next December. And it will also give you a kind of motivation. And when you're having a troubled time with that goal, with that plan, with what you would like, if you're thinking, oh, I really need to take the exercise one again, I really need to go out for a run today, but I really don't feel like it. If you have already spent, 30 to 60 seconds that morning envisioning how good your body feels now that it's healthy and it's fit and that you're able to do the things you want to do in your life, your motivation to push through that bit of resistance is going to be so much higher. And we just know from research that people who are able to be in that moment of what it will look like, what it will feel like at the end, are more likely to achieve that goal. For me, I've even, every 10 years, I draw a very, I think it's an A6, it's very small, A6 size piece of paper, and I just draw out the things that I want to happen in the next 10 years and focus a bit of time on what it will feel like to achieve each of those and how I want to think about going through that. And I look at that probably once a year, maybe twice a year. It's not something I put a lot of time into or effort into, but I can say that of the one from 2007 to 2017, because that's the first year I did it, or the first decade I did it, I achieved, I think, 8 of the 10 items. And I was not doing anything different necessarily to what I do now. I was just basically having that vision and keeping that vision in mind as I moved forward through my life. Because that's a bit of a compass for when you're feeling like, I don't know what to do with this. Do I want to do this thing? I've been offered this opportunity, but is it right for me? Being able to say, well, actually, how does this fit in with my design for the life I've designed for the next year or 3? Being able to kind of have that compass and say, actually, this isn't going to fit in with me for right now. And being able to say to the person who's offered you the opportunity, I thank you so much for the opportunity. And at another time, and I've really considered actually whether it will work for me. But thinking about what I'm planning and where things are going, it's not the right time for me right now. And just having that extra little bit of motivation, that bit of kind of direction, that sense of clarity is just so useful, I think. And again, it's something we can all do. I kind of wish they taught this skill in school. And if you don't know what you want your life to look like, if you're looking at the design for your life and it's a blank piece of paper, how do you want to feel? What do you like about your current life? And do you want that to continue? You don't need to kind of create something from scratch. The whole point of the root of reinvention is that we can reinvent how we feel about ourselves and our lives without like pulling up our roots and starting a whole new seed. Like we can just grow from where we are now in the direction that works for us. So we plan and review and check and double check everything in our lives except our own kind of life design. And anytime that you can, write down a note, visualize where you want to be, draw a picture of yourself, colour in the feelings. I mean, I think my first visualization drawing, I'll see if I can link it in the show notes, but it wasn't a very good picture. And it had like a heart, and then it had like a paintbrush and a palette, which just represented I wanted to be creative. I didn't paint that much in those 10 years, but I was creative in writing my books. So it can be as abstract or as concrete as you like. And then thinking about, are these daily habits taking me towards that? So if I close my eyes and think, this is where I am, I'm in that place where I have those things, I've achieved those things, I feel brilliant, is what I'm about to do, i.e. eat this massive piece of chocolate, or go for that run, or read a bit of this fiction book so that I can relax and switch my brain off, is this going to move me towards that? The thing is, this isn't rocket science. I'm saying this and none of you are like, oh my gosh, I've never heard of this, I've never even thought about it. Or maybe some of you are, to be fair, but if it's something that comes up so much in the self-development world and even in the spiritual kind of world, that this is what we need to be doing, this is how we can succeed. And it sounds like a waste of time, quite frankly, or I certainly have felt like that it feels like, oh, well, I can't be bothered, I'm too tired, I'm too busy, I've got too much going on, I'm not going to sit and draw a blimmin' paintbrush and easel, like, how is that going to help me? Like, it to some level it feels counterintuitive, but understanding what I do about how the brain works and how what we visualize can actually impact our brain chemistry, it makes total sense that the more time we spend in a particular place, the more our brain is responding to that place, whether it's real or not, whether it's in your head or not. You spend most of your time in your head, ruminating on things that have happened in the past, hoping for things that will happen in the future, dwelling on what you've just said and how stupid it made you feel. Whatever the example is, we've all been there. We spend so much time in our heads, and actually, as you move forward into 2021, I just think we could all do with having a bit of a vision for what we want that to look like and how we want that to go. And I just wanted to share with you that this isn't completely woo, and to give it a try. And if you're someone who tries this and struggles to do it, or doesn't quite know how to apply it to your own life, give me an email. All the details are in the show notes. Sign up for my freebie. That will take you through the first 5 stages of kind of almost this process a little bit will be included in. Give me an email, ask me questions, and let's just start 2021 all on the same boat, Thank you so much for your time listening today. I hope it was useful, and I will see you again next week. Bye. Thanks for listening, and as always, you can find out more at rootedreinvention.com. Take care, remember you are more capable than you often realise, and I'll see you next time. Bye.